Hi, my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. And today I'm bringing you my March wrap-up. Full disclosure, I did not look up the ratings I gave on Goodreads to these books. I'm just gonna go off the cuff of what I remember giving the book, and maybe that's a more honest rating. Vino is here, if you can't tell by his little tail. Hi, buddy. This is my boy. Oh, bye, buddy. All right, so I have these books organized by shortest book I read to longest. And this month I read 11 books. Crazy. I'm doing great. The first book is a novella called Plum Lucky, and I'll put that on the screen. This is a Stephanie Plum Between the Numbers novella, and this one is set around St. Patrick's Day. Stephanie and Diesel, this like magical character who pops up in these Between the Numbers books, they go after like a leprechaun guy. There's lots of explosions. It was weird. They went to a casino. It was a good time. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was, stop crinkling. It was enjoyable. I liked it. I love the Stephanie Plum books. So next I have The Impossible Lives of Greta Wells by Andrew Sean Greer. This is a time travel kind of book where the main character, Greta Wells, it's like 1985. Her brother has just died of AIDS and her parents are dead and she's kind of all alone and sad about it. And she goes to a doctor for electroshock treatment to get over her depression. And these treatments make her travel back in time, but it's not really back in time. It's kind of like into other bodies in these other universes. So one's set in 1918, one's set in 1941, and then 1985, and she sort of travels between these 3 times, and it seems like the other Gretas are also traveling, so they're just really swapping places throughout. It was okay. I'm doing time travel research for my book, and this isn't really necessarily time travel. It's kind of alternate universe stuff. So I was a little annoyed about that. I listened to this on audio. It was okay. I think I didn't love some of the ideas about like womanhood and motherhood, and like it was supposed to be kind of like magical and she gets to experience these 3 different lives. But then like the life that she chose and was like prized above the others was the one where she had a husband and child. And I don't know. It just wasn't my vibe, wasn't my cup of tea. It was trying to be deep and thoughtful, and I just feel like it missed the mark. I think I gave this 3 stars. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Next on the list, once again, a book I didn't hate but I didn't love. This is Once Dishonored by Mary Jo Putney. This is a historical romance about a woman who has recently gotten divorced in 1816. So big scandal, and the divorce was because like she cheated on her husband with like 3 of his friends, but actually it was all engineered by the husband, and we find that out in like the 2nd chapter. This was not good. I did not like it. I read it on the way to Spain and it was too easy, too straightforward. No. I guess let me tell you more about the book. The main character, Kendra, goes to this ball and is trying to show people up because like she didn't do anything wrong really. And then she meets our main dude character who is named Lucas. He escaped some prison and is like super dishonored, and like he broke his like nobility or whatever. And the conflicts just seemed so... I know that historical fiction, a lot of the conflicts are based on like honor and the perception of other people, but it was just like, so like, both, he's rich in his own right. Like, what does it matter if people like don't like him? I don't know. I just wasn't for me. And I think I gave this like 2 stars on Goodreads. Sorry, not sorry. And then we have Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is her YA debut, and this is about 2 people who were friends and then they're enemies, and now they're slowly becoming friends again because they're both competing in this scholarship like hiking program where like these people are all taken to a forest and like they have to achieve certain goals and like find golden compasses, and it was very fun. It was cute. I liked both the main characters. I think Celine could be considered unlikable, but that's part of the charm. Like, and their banter is so good. They are like enemies, but they're only enemies because they were best friends and then they're both hurt, and it was very cute. It was a very good YA romance. Like, yes. I'm pretty sure I gave this 5 stars. And then we have No Parm, No Foul by Linda Riley. I loved this. It was adorable. Basically, our main character, Carly, owns a grilled cheese shop, and across the way there is a sub shop, and the sub shop owner is mad because he thinks she called an inspection on him because his food practices are iffy. And so they have like this beef, pun intended. They have this beef. There's this Halloween festival contest that all the like local eateries are preparing food for, and they vote on like the best one, and there's shenanigans there, and then this guy, the owner of the sub shop, ends up dead the next day. And of course, all eyes turn to Carly because they had beef, and she has to help solve the murder. And it's very fun. I love cozy mysteries so much. I can't wait to read more. I gave this 5 stars. And then we have another time travel book for my research called Yesterday's History by Kosoko Jackson. I also didn't like this time travel book. I am just batting 0 for 2 right now. This is about essentially a time travel love triangle, right? So our main character gets a new liver, gets a liver transplant, and that liver comes from a family of time travelers. So now he has the ability to time travel, and he accidentally goes back in time to like the 60s, meets this boy. They immediately like connect and have this thing. And then he comes back forward in time. He like struggles to control it and like meets the brother of the guy who died and gave him his liver. And so it's kind of a love triangle between the brother of the person whose liver he has and this boy in the past. It just like didn't make sense. The point, like, what was the point of the time travel? Just to like have a love triangle? And like what, there were like practice sessions where he learns to control his time travel abilities, but like to what end? Like seemed like it would be about like research and you can go back in time and like observe big events, but like, okay. And then the love triangle was very like insta-lovey, and I listened to this mostly on audio. This is this author's debut, so if you've read anything by them that's like sounds better, maybe they've gotten better. I don't know. This book just did not do it for me. I tabbed a couple things that were like interesting time travel things because the time travel in this is explained very clearly. They have very clear time travel rules, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. But the book was just like not good. So I think I gave this 2 stars. Maybe I rounded it up to 3. But okay, here's the thing. Like, this kid just got a new liver, right? It's like 6 months old. And when he goes back to the past, the guy he meets is like, oh, do you want a drink? They're like 16 and 17, which, okay, I'm not the norm. I didn't drink when I was like a teenager. I know that happens. But sir, you just got a liver transplant. Why are you damaging your brand new liver with alcohol? Like there was barely any thought about it. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? So I just couldn't get on board with that character after that. Next on the list, we have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was very good. This is about these 2 bands. Well, it's about Daisy Jones. And guess what else? The Six. So the Six is a rock band coming to fame in the late 60s. And Daisy Jones is this singer who like joins up with them. And there's kind of a will they won't they romance. There's a love triangle. And it's very much like about the band and fame and being in a band that becomes so big and making music and family. It was really good. I know everyone's going to compare Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, so I did prefer The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but this was still good. I'm excited to watch the miniseries. I have not watched it yet. And the interesting thing about this is that it's presented as like an oral history, so you can see it's just like the person's name and then what they are telling the person who's compiling this book. So that was a really interesting format. I've heard the audiobook is really good because it has a full cast, but I read this physically and it was still really great. But I'm also not super into like the rock scene of this era, so I think I maybe got less out of it. I still gave it 4 stars. And this is kind of like a rapid fire wrap up because I think I have vlogs for, well, I definitely have a vlog for this. Out of Character by Jenna Miller. This is a YA debut. It's a coming of age story about a character who is involved in fandom, and she has like this online role play life that she is hiding from everyone in her family. So her best friend, her parents, they don't know. And then in the very first chapter, her mom leaves them and moves to Maine from Minnesota. And it was a very like character-centered story about this girl dealing with her mother leaving and hiding a part of herself from her friends and family. I gave it 5 stars, really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what else this author comes out with. Next, we have May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Elor. This is YA. I listened to this mostly on audio. This is about a trans boy and his ex-boyfriend fighting to be homecoming king. So Jeremy is cheer captain and student body president. Lucas is a football star, and they have this past relationship. It's hard to talk about this book because there's so much different representation in here. So you have Jeremy as a trans boy, you have Lucas with autism rep, and I can't really speak to anything about those, but this book was okay. I found Jeremy a little hard to like, a little hard to root for, but I think that was kind of the point. People don't have to be likable to deserve human rights, to deserve existing. I think I gave it 3 stars, maybe 3.5 rounded up to 4. It was enjoyable as like a YA contemporary. Their romance was very well done, I feel like. I really enjoyed watching them grow closer and like work through their issues. And I really liked the way that this ended. So yeah, I think that I gave this 3.5 rounded up to 4 stars. Next, we have Circe by Madeline Miller. This is, I think, the last book I read of the month. Absolutely wonderful. Loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars because there is a lot about like motherhood and like some brutal childbirth scenes that really put me off. I mostly listened to this on audio, and at one point at work, I was listening to the audiobook of this like, stop, I don't want to hear about this. And I would have to like pause it and like collect myself and then go back into it. So this is about the witch Circe and the mythology of her life. She is the daughter of a Titan, and most famously in the Odyssey, Odysseus lands on her island and stays with her for a while. She turns men into pigs. That's her story in pop culture as we know it. But this really dives deep into who Circe is and how she came to be on this island and her relationship with Odysseus. I loved it. I loved it so much. I think Madeline Miller is an auto-buy author for me because this is fantastic. Let's have just a little spoiler talk about Circe because I think it's so interesting. So this is like Circe coming into her power and discovering how strong and powerful she is and that she can do anything. It's very empowering. But the issue that I had was that Circe didn't like fully come into her power and like realize how strong she was until she had a baby and she survived like raising this child and then doing everything that she could to protect him. Like she really came into her full power to protect her child. And I'm like, great for her. Love that. Mothers can do anything. But why does it feel like any story in which a woman really gets her most powerful or is the most powerful or like really comes into her own and her power after she has a kid? Like what about having a child makes her, I don't know. It feels weird. And maybe those are just like my issues with like the idea of motherhood and the way society views mothers. I don't know. But it felt, I didn't like it, you know? I didn't like that aspect that like she only realized that she could do anything or be her most powerful in order to protect her son? Like, why wasn't she her most powerful in order to protect herself? You know? And maybe there's an element of, like, he was her only family, so it's not like she became more powerful in order to protect a daughter. It was in order to protect a son. And there was some like weirdness about having a man in her family who is her son, but there was just some weirdness where like he was the man of the house even though he was like 14. And I just like didn't love that aspect. So that's why I didn't give this like a full 5 stars, because that was just like, it felt weird. Felt weird, man. I don't know what to tell you. And the last book I want to talk about, because the longest book I read this month, is Prince Lestat by Anne Rice. Oh boy. I love the Vampire Chronicles books 1 through 4. Book 5 gets a little weird and religious and confusing. And then books 6 through 10 are just a freaking mess. And then this is book 11. This is about a disembodied voice that older vampires start hearing, and older vampires start just murdering young new vampires, just decimating them. And this book has been said to be like a sequel to Queen of the Damned, which is the 3rd book, and it's got multiple points of view. It spans, continents, but I just did not like it. I mostly listened to the audiobook, and dare I say, it was bad. It was not good. Did not enjoy. Yikes. I gave this, I think, 2 stars. Just no. And like, I love Lestat, but in this, he's so, I don't know. It was just weird. It was just a weird book, and the characters were dumb, and no. And, okay, I will always have beef with the whole, like, Louis Armand thing, because, like, Louis and Lestat had a lot of fights and stuff, but, like, Louis loved Claudia, right? Armand freaking killed Claudia. I will never be over that. So, I don't understand the Louis Armand, like, relationship. I don't like it. And so that was like a big part of this. Not a big part, but that was like a tenet of this. Like Louis and Armand in their penthouse with their like vampire children. And I'm like, ugh. And then Lestat had, okay, I'm going to put spoilers on the screen. There is this like vampire scientist who is like studying vampires, but he's also a vampire. And he convinces Lestat, like, oh, we can make you feel like a mortal man and, like, be able to have sex and, like, ejaculate, which vampires, like, can't do because they're dead, right? And so they do this thing, and then, oh, guess what? Lestat has a child by this mortal woman. And I'm like, why? And also, they didn't tell Lestat that that was their goal, or, like, that could happen. I mean, he should be smart enough to know that it could happen, but men are stupid, so he doesn't, and he doesn't think about it. And so then like Lestat has this kid that he doesn't know about, that I feel like technically it felt icky. It felt icky and like rapey. Like they didn't consent. Like, I don't know, it just felt icky, and I didn't like that. I didn't like his son as a character either, and there was just like no personality there. It was bad. It was a bad book. And I knew that. I should have listened to the reviews, but I didn't. And now they're the 12th one, Prince Lestat and the Lost City of Atlantis or something like that. And I'm like, am I going to read that? Am I going to suffer through that just to finish the series? I haven't decided. That was my March wrap up, the 11 books I read in March. Weirdly enough, I didn't feel like I had a bad reading month, but talking about all these books and like all the low ratings I gave this month, I'm like, dang, I really did not like a lot of these books. So kind of a bummer. Hopefully April will be better. We're off to a good start. I'm enjoying what I'm reading so far. So hopefully April will be better. What was like your favorite book this month, or your least favorite? Lowest rating you gave? I don't know. That's the train we're on right now. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, you could click that like button or subscribe, but really, you can do whatever you want. And I'll see you next time.